Hey guys, today I'm reading Bad Princess and I'm reading chapter 5 part 3. Okay. For money, not love. Lady Jenny Churchill fared better with a royal marriage than another dollar princess, Consuelo Vanderbilt, 1877 to 1964. Consuelo wed Charles Spencer Churchill, better known as the Duke of Marlborough, in 1895. Alas, hers was a union based on money, not love. The Duke, nicknamed Sonny, was the nephew of Jenny Churchill's hubby, Lord Randolph. Consuelo married into the family 20 years after Jenny. As her nuptials approached, royal wedding fever gripped New York. The press proclaimed Consuelo's engagement to Sonny as the match of the century. The New York World reported, Miss Consuelo Vanderbilt is one of the greatest heiresses in America. The Duke of Marlborough is probably the most eligible peer in Great Britain. From the standpoint of Fifth Avenue, it will be the most desirable alliance ever made by an American heiress up to date. The New York Times claimed Consuelo's dowry may have been as much as $20 million, most of which went to fix up Blenheim, Sonny's family palace in England. Sonny's family palace in England. It was rumored Blenheim was so huge that it took a year to wash all the windows. Once the window cleaner arrived at one end of the place, he simply turned around and started over. When Consuelo's wedding day arrived, thousands lined Fifth Avenue in Manhattan to the church where she was to tie the knot. "300 police were deployed to control the crowds. Drama ensued when the bride arrived 20 minutes late, her tear-stained face hidden behind a heavy veil. But they weren't tears of happiness. You had to pity Consuelo. She was trapped from the start. Her mother, Alva Vanderbilt, had intended for the girl to marry a royal before she was even born. Alva named Consuelo after Consuelo Yaznaga, an heiress who'd wed an English viscount a year before her daughter's birth in a public illicitly nabbing wedding. This was only the start of Alva's wheeling and dealing on her daughter's behalf. When Consuelo was a child, Alva manipulated Mrs. Astor into acknowledging their non-400 family by throwing an over-the-top costume ball. Alva dressed up as a Venetian princess like out of a fairy tale. Her Parolas le piacevoli noti. Consuelo Vanderbilt, a duchess in the dumps. To give Consuelo the posture of a queen, the girl was forced to wear a steel brace from head to hip. No. She was educated with private with private governess and force-fed music and language lessons. If Consuelo objected, Alva scolded, I do the thinking, you do as you are told. When it was time to launch Consuelo into society as a debutante, Alva brought her to Paris, then to London for the season despite Mrs. Astor's acceptance of their family. Frankly, given all Alva's scheming, it was only a matter of time before Consuelo was seated next to Sonny at a dinner party. Their hostess knew he had to marry someone wealthy and cultured. Blenheim was losing £2,000 per year. Consuelo was beautiful, educated, and charming. Most important, she was rich. Alva was thrilled at the march, even if Sonny's desire for Consuelo was mainly mercenary. Consuelo was less excited. She was madly in love with a commoner back in America named Winthrop Rutherford, who returned her affection. When Alva found out, she announced Rutherford as a fortune hunter, though he was from a blue-blooded family of his own, and threatened to kill him. When this didn't change Consuelo's mind, Alva claimed a heart attack, so her daughter gave up the man she loved to marry a nobleman who only loved her money. She later wrote of that fateful November day that made her a duchess. I spent the morning of my wedding day in tears and alone. I felt cold and numb as I went down to meet my father and the bridesmaids who were waiting for me. Consuelo's life as wife of the Duke of Marlborough was as miserable as she had feared. 11 years later, after Consuelo provided Sonny with his heir in despair, she fled Blenheim. The marriage was eventually annulled in 1926. At the hearing, Alva surprised everyone by testifying she'd forced her daughter to marry Sonny. When push came to shove, motherly instinct trumped Alva's need for royal in the family. Once she was freed of her duke, Consuelo married again, this time for love instead of a title. Still, you can take the duchess from the palace, but you can't take the palace from the duchess. Consuelo arranged to be buried near Blenheim upon her death. That's my man for today. Bye.